Hey, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the WLBT Digital News Desk. I'm your host, CJ LeMaster. I'm also your lead investigative reporter here for WLBT, and I hope you're having a great start to your work week. It is Monday, October 20th, and noticeably cooler weather that we've gotten a chance to get to experience this weekend, aside from some storms in our area. We had some cooler temperatures, which was also nice, especially yesterday. This morning, coming into work, you almost had to, put a coat on at some point. It was nice and cool this morning. So, hope that everybody's doing well. We got several of you watching right now on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. We're streaming. We're also on our OTT platform and WLBT.com. So there's a lot of different ways that you can watch the Digital News Desk update. We have an update, first off, to a story that we first brought you over the weekend. And again, we're learning more about it. We're going to have more coverage on it this evening, but we want to tell you that right now, authorities have released the name of the man that they say killed two people after crashing into them following a police pursuit. Antion Gray is currently being held in the Hinds County Detention Center in Raymond. Now, the 62-year-old is currently being charged with 2 counts of fleeing law enforcement in a motor vehicle and aggravated DUI negligence. Now, this happened around 10:30 Saturday morning near the intersection of Raymond and Robinson Roads. The Hinds County coroner identified the victims as a mother and daughter, 66-year-old Deborah Washington and 48-year-old Shallie Davenport. A third person in their car was also injured. Now, Gray was actually arrested after a traffic stop, by the Mississippi Highway Patrol on Saturday, after authorities say he fled during a traffic stop on I-55. I apologize for that. Byram's police chief, David Arrington, said a Byram police officer attempted to pull Gray over, but again, he fled. Byram's police chief says they were notified by dispatchers to be on the lookout for his vehicle. They say that the reason why, and this is where it gets a little interesting, is on Saturday, he was said to have been involved in an armed robbery at the Dollar General store in Terry. Now, Arrington went on to say that Gray initially stopped but took off after the officer ordered him to get out of the car. Well, the officer then chased, and that chase continued until Gray crashed into that vehicle near the intersection of Raymond and Robinson Road Extension in Jackson. Now, Arrington initially said that officers were to be on a lookout for a suspect involved in that armed robbery, but on Monday, today, he clarified his previous comments with my colleague Anthony Warren, saying that dispatchers notified Byram about a possible armed suspect from a theft at the Terry Dollar General. Hinds County Sheriff Tyree Jones says that a clerk called Hinds County dispatchers after Gray reportedly went into the store, went behind the counter, and snatched an unknown number of cigarettes. So already we have what appears to be differing stories from these two law enforcement agencies. Arrington initially saying that this guy was wanted for armed robbery, then later said that there was a theft involved there, possible armed suspect from a theft, which would still be considered armed robbery under statute. But then Sheriff Jones saying, well, no, that's not what happened, and we did not say that this was an armed robbery when that was called in. So again, I want to show you very quickly. This is the individual's picture on our story right now, WLBT.com, where you can read more about it. This is Antion Gray. He's 62 years old, and again, he's being charged with 2 counts of fleeing law enforcement in a motor vehicle and aggravated DUI negligence. We're going to continue to follow the story, and you can look for updates tonight in our early evening newscasts. I want to say hi to some of you who are watching right now. Britt saying happy Monday, everyone. Britt's always faithfully talking, wishing us a happy Monday, happy day, saying hi to us in the beginning. She's a faithful watcher, a faithful viewer, and we appreciate that very much. I can't get it out sometimes, Britt. I'm sorry. Sometimes word salad on a Monday. Brenda McLaurin Hayes saying good afternoon from Mendenhall. Brenda, hope you're doing well as well on this start to our work week. And again, any of these stories that you happen to have opinions on, please feel free to jump in there and let us know, because we definitely want to hear from you. We also want to tell you about another killing in the capital city. Jackson police investigating a deadly shooting. Hinds County Sheriff and Interim Police Chief Tyree Jones says it happened yesterday evening at the Valero gas station on Cooper Road. Now, Jones says an altercation or a disagreement, I guess I should say, at the gas station led to the shooting. The suspect left the scene in a white Honda car or SUV. The victim was a 22-year-old male, and his name had just recently been released by police. One of our deputy chiefs told us earlier today, and I'm pulling that information up now, Melvin Bass was shot at that gas station there on Cooper Road. Chief Jones says the victim may not have been the target of this shooting.
We learned that there was some type of altercation that occurred at this location prior to the shooting, and at least one individual occupied this vehicle fired multiple shots in the direction of the victim. We do not have any evidence at this time to show that the victim was involved in any type of altercation, but again, it's still under investigation.
Now, again, we will continue to follow this story and update you as more information becomes available. That shooting means that we are now at 60 homicides for the year in the city of Jackson. This is our public safety tracker, our homicide tracker, which you can find online at WLBT.com. And as you can see right there, JPD has worked 51, Capitol Police has worked 9. We don't necessarily do the number by agency. We would just want to let you know when we're tracking these, how many we've actually had in the city, regardless of which agency works it. As you can see, we are down still 38% versus last year, but we have had 6 this month already and 9 in the last 30 days. Typically, last 5 years average for the month of October is 12. And you can see here where we are in the grand scheme of things. We're still much lower than recent years. And, you know, we're getting close to what we saw in 2016 and 17 in terms of our average, you know, our total homicides for the year. Hopefully, you know, we'll see a decrease at some point. But again, you can come here and you can look and see everything that we have been tracking for the last several years since 2016. And if you click on, you know, these various buttons here, you'll actually get the actual locations of where these victims were, you know, where police told us these victims were killed, and any information that we actually have. Here's our most recent one here, Melvin Bass, the information there. And again, if you have any information that you'd like to report to law enforcement, there's a way to do that right in this dashboard, where you can call Jackson Police, Capitol Police, or even report through Crime Stoppers. So we want to make sure that we always let you know how to access this, where to find it. You go to WLBT.com, you click on those 3 little lines. And I know it's hard to see. I'm going to move this over so you can see it. And you just click on crime and then Jackson homicides, and it's right there. So that is just a way to access that. And we just want to make sure that we're transparent with this information, where we found it, how we compile this. And we try to strive to make sure this is the most accurate data that you have available. We are also, I apologize for that, hit the wrong button over here. I got some more folks watching. Brittany Brown saying, good afternoon, new here from Dallas, Texas. Well, welcome, Brittany. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate you watching today. Charlene Hampton saying, good afternoon and happy Monday. Happy Monday to you too, Charlene. I'm glad everything's going well. Letitia Wood saying, happy Monday, everyone. And I hope you're having a great Monday as well. Dolores Caring saying, good afternoon, everyone. And I appreciate you watching as well. Sheila Denise Scott saying prayers for the families on those last that last story, those last couple of stories. And yeah, it's very listen, we can't say it enough when we have to report you know, about these incidents that happen. Even though we're reporting and trying to get it out there so people are knowledgeable about it and know about what's happening in their communities, there's a family or families that are devastated by all of this. And Brenda McLaurin Hayes saying, thank you for that information. Well, that's our job. We appreciate you being here to, you know, for us to be able to have this back and forth and for us to be able to share this information with you. So we have some other things that we want to get to. Another story that we have been following now since for more than a week since it happened. was that horrible situation in Leland, that mass shooting that took place weekend after this past one. We now can tell you that a seventh person who was injured in that mass shooting has died. That's according to authorities. We are told that 25-year-old Ebony Williams passed away Friday night. She was among those injured in the shooting in downtown Leland that took place the night of October 10th. 6 other people were killed and several others were injured. And we want to show you, these are the individuals that we have been able to confirm had been killed. We don't have pictures for everybody. We have these pictures that we were able to get from family members, as well as organizations that have been involved here. And again, the individuals on your screen, Washington County Coroner's Office confirmed a total of 16 people were shot. 12 were taken to hospitals. 4 victims were pronounced dead at the scene: 41-year-old Owashama Johnson, 19-year-old Calvin Plant, 25-year-old Shelbyana Powell, and 18-year-old Caslin Johnson. 2 others died the next morning: 18-year-old Amos Brantley Jr. and 34-year-old Jamichael Jones. Now, there is a reward for information. This individual that you see on your screen, the FBI offering a $5,000 reward for information leading to more arrests in the case. The Bureau releasing these photos. So far, 9 people have been arrested and charged. If you have any information that could lead to more arrests, please contact the FBI or your local law enforcement agencies. Now, you can call 1-800-CALL-FBI. When you go online, it's just tips.fbi.gov. Easy to remember, where you can submit that information electronically. Sheila Denise Scott asking us if there have been upgraded charges on suspects. Not that we know at this point. Again, the initial reporting was that the original suspects that had been, the information had been released, had been charged with capital murder, or most of them had been. And then one had been charged, Latoya Powell had been charged with, I believe, attempted murder. But again, this is something that is going to be changing. And unfortunately, because of the way all of this works, and the feds have been offering updates, it looks like a lot of the information that's been released has been from the feds in particular. What that means for us is that we're not going to be able to get any information from, say, the state or from Leland Police. It looks like it's going to be coming strictly from those individuals, from the feds in particular. And again, looking at our we only have 5 names at this point that have been even released. 4 have not. 4 of those suspects' identities have not been released by law enforcement, and we don't have charges either. We have capital murder charges for Tevion Powell, William Bryant, Morgan Lattimore, Tarajanal Martin. Latoya Powell, attempted murder is that charge. And so, again, we're just continuing to follow that. Britt saying it's very sad. It is. It's a horrible situation. Absolutely horrible, just all the way around. Even as we're trying to learn more information about a possible motive or what could have triggered this, whether or not the suspects and the victims knew each other, there's a lot of information we don't know at this point. Sheila saying ballistics will show who shot whom, giving proof of the weapon and suspects' actions. That's true. It will take time to be able to put that together. And the other problem is that when the FBI was saying the number of people that were originally injured, and I'm going to have to look at my notes here to make sure that I'm not telling you the wrong thing, but I want to say that they said that there were nearly 24 injured. From what we were looking at, when the FBI special agent in charge, Robert Eichhoff, was addressing reporters, he was basically saying that they have had, 26 people shot or injured, at least 19 were shot. So what he's saying is there are 7 others that were injured that were not shot. And so what that tells you is just, if you've seen video from the scene, if you've seen it on social media, huge crowd, lots of people. So you could only imagine when that gunfire started popping off, people were probably injured by the crowd. Somebody might have been trampled. Somebody might have been injured from that if they weren't injured from the gunfire. And that can just show you the kind of chaos that was going on that night while all this was going on. And the reason I say that is to your point about ballistics. it is going to be, I mean, you think about them trying to find as much as they can and hoping that nothing was damaged or was taken from the scene or was disrupted from the whole crowd that was there, and trying to triangulate and pinpoint people's positions and all of that. So again, they have the right tools at their disposal. Leland Police have the assistance of the state and the FBI and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. So, we're not getting the answers as quickly as many of us would like to have, but they are working on this diligently, and we will let you know as soon as we get additional information about what they're finding. Sandra Anthony saying, so sad if they brought back the death penalty and it was done shortly after convicted, it may make people stop these murders. The death penalty is still, with capital murder, death penalty is on the table. That is a district attorney's decision, and I'm not going to get into the ramifications of whether the death penalty is right or wrong. I'm just going to tell you, to your point, with these charges here, attempted murder for LaToya Powell is not something that where prosecutors could seek the death penalty. But on 4 of these individuals that have been named who are charged with capital murder, that certainly is a possibility, and we'll see whether or not that happens. Melissa Warren, as you can see there, I didn't realize I had you up, Melissa. I'm sorry. Prayer hands and hearts, and we appreciate that. Sandra Anthony saying prayers for the families and those involved. Sheila Denise Scott saying, was this the same mass shooting that killed the child and pregnant woman? It was so many mass shootings. I don't believe this is the one where the woman who was killed was pregnant. I think that may have been a different one. It may have been the one at Heidelberg, if I'm not mistaken. But you're right. There's so many shootings, it's kind of hard to keep track. Letitia Wood saying, praying for family and friends. And that's really all we can do at this point, and make sure that we get answers, and we push law enforcement to give us answers, as they're doing their job. We try to make sure that when we have people come to us and say, hey, we're not getting answers, if it's family members, if it's other people, if it's viewers saying, hey, it's been a while since we heard anything about this, can you tell us more? Yeah, we try to make sure that we put pressure on law enforcement to make sure they're doing their job in getting us that information in a timely fashion. Dolores Caring saying, it's very sad how life doesn't matter to others. We need to have more love in our hearts and do better. Yeah, that's a great message. Heaven Moore offering prayer hands, and Lucille Busby saying, pray for the family. Yeah, it's, like I said, just a horrible situation. But again, we want to let you know that the FBI is offering, and I'll put it up again because I don't think we can show this too much, a $5,000 reward for information leading to more arrests in this case. This surveillance video here appears to show the same person from different angles. And that person has not yet been identified, and we are still working to try to, help the FBI get that information out there and get this person into custody. And as soon as they have more arrests and more charges, we will let you know as soon as we're told about that information. Members of the Yazoo City community took a stand against domestic violence over the weekend. The Yazoo County District Attorney, Akil Malone Oliver, hosted what they call the Love Shouldn't Hurt rally and the parade, to raise awareness. This rally comes weeks after Kenlanda Burns was allegedly killed by her ex-boyfriend at the Willow Woods Apartments in Yazoo City. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men experience domestic violence here in the U.S. Survivors shared emotional testimonies and encouraging words at the rally.
In my line of work, I see everything, and most of the time when it happens, a lot of the community say, well, I didn't know that person was like that. I didn't know what was going on. That's because it's something that's said within the family to keep it in the family. What goes on in the home stays in the home. And we want to say no. As long as you keep it silent, as long as you don't say anything about it, that empowers the abuser.
Now, if you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please contact the Mississippi Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Sheila Denise Scott with a question from earlier. Did they find the 2 women that they searched for with him? She's talking about the Leland suspects that we showed you the pictures of, that one individual we showed the pictures of. To our knowledge, I believe either those 2 women have been arrested, that somebody may have been ruled out, but it's our understanding that since the FBI has not released those images with new updates, that they either have captured those individuals or they no longer are looking for those individuals. So we're just going off of what we've been given by those federal officials. We want to end on a sort of a positive note. We'll tell you about parts of the capital city are a little more tidy today. After the inaugural Clean Jackson Gateway Beautification Day over the weekend, multiple groups fanned out across the city, focusing on 6 areas: Fortification Street, High Street, Pascagoula Street, Pearl Street, and West Capitol Street, as well as Woodrow Wilson Avenue. 3 on Your Side was among those forming cleanup teams in those areas. In all, more than 100 volunteers put on gloves and started picking up trash and other debris.
It was a real thriving city at one point. It had a whole lot of stuff going for it, and it's just recently in the last, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so, everything has just moved outside of Jackson. Jackson doesn't have like the restaurants it used to have. It doesn't have the shopping centers it used to have, and you have to go outside of the city in order to even do anything. So I would hope that with us trying to keep the place clean, I know sometimes it's a lot of crime, but I would hope that we could, clean up the city, bring stuff back in.
The areas chosen for beautification are considered to be gateways or major entrances to Jackson, where travelers might get their first impression of what the city has to offer. And we had a couple more comments here. Sheila Denise Scott giving, prayer hands there for the stories that we were talking about, the Leland mass shooting and the homicide. Britt regarding our story that we mentioned on Yazoo City and the domestic violence parade. I agree. I lost 3 loved ones to domestic violence. Don't be afraid to speak up. That's so true. And the statistics are what they are, but that's across the nation. It could be higher in Mississippi, and all of us know someone who has been touched and been affected and been traumatized by domestic violence, unfortunately, in our lives. So it's important to make sure that if you know someone in your life who fits that bill, that you give them support, that you help them safely get help and be able to get out of that situation whenever possible. And if it's you and you're watching, then you're not alone. There are resources out there, and there are people out there who want to help you. And that information can be found on our website, WLBT.com. We appreciate you joining us on this Monday. Hope the rest of your week is going well. At 2:30, our First Alert weather team will be in here to give you an idea of what you can expect for this week. And of course, we'll also have updates on some of the stories that we talked about today in our early evening newscast starting at 4 o'clock. For everyone here at WLBT, I'm CJ LeMaster, your digital news desk host, and your lead investigative reporter for WLBT. Hope that you have a wonderful rest of your week. We're going to leave you with a word from our sponsor, Jackson Water, but we'll be back here at 1 o'clock tomorrow.
From Jackson Water, is it okay to pour fats, oils, and greases down the drain if I run hot water?
No!
What if I run the garbage disposal?
No!
How about if I use dish soap at the same time?
No!
Instead, hang on to a few containers to store and toss old cooking fat and grease once you're done. Jackson Water. Water for all the time.